Good afternoon. My name is Thomas Monaghan, and I'm the SVP of the gaming portfolio here at TTEC. And today we have James Bednar, referred to as JB, the Vice President of Product Management. How are you doing today, JB?
Really good, Thomas. How are you?
I'm good. Good. Excited for what we're going to talk about.
As
Um, and that's the topic on everyone's mind, of course, which is AI. Everyone wants to implement it, everyone wants to use it, but I think the struggle is that AI is an all-encompassing term that you can use for how you answer your phone to how you watch players play the game. So for conversation's sake today, I'd like us to talk about AI in gaming, customer contact center operations. I think we should take a different approach today. For a company that has never used AI, I think it's important to start with understanding what are the current limitations where we are with AI today.
Yeah, that's a great challenge. I think the good news in that is that the technology has really advanced over the past few years. AI today is very different from the chatbots of just a few years ago. I think if you had asked me this question, maybe 2000, 2001, I think I'd have a very different answer.
Mm,
Around 2000, 2001, it would have been it's going to be a very costly endeavor. There's potential high risk. It requires more advanced skill set and development capability than maybe you've got on staff. I think a lot of AI at that time was defined by things like NLU and natural language understanding, and a big part of that was how do you sit down, define your intents, build out a process flow, or code a specific interaction flow or conversational flow for every single intent. And I think as the technology has matured over the past few years, it's gotten to the point at which there's technical, less of a technical need. The applications are geared more towards business users, so it's a bit easier to use.
mhm.
Although I will say, the complexity and the challenges for a first timer is really understanding where where to put it into place, where to start. And a lot of gaming actually I think represents a great industry for AI because of the greater use of non-voice interaction types, whether that be messaging, chat, email,
Mhm.
and to lend themselves pretty well. But I will say, don't underestimate the project. Don't underestimate the challenge. You've got to start slow, experiment, dip your toe in the water, start building out more complex use cases as you get more comfortable with the tooling.
Makes sense. So technology got easier, but the business problem's still there of how do you implement it.
You
So given that, if we were talking to potential partners out there, how heavily do you think they should be leaning on AI platforms?
it, as much as they can to maybe improve player experience, but no more. And I think there's definitely a fine line between pushing too hard. And I think it's always tempting once you see these solutions put in place and you're getting good results from them to continue to push more and more and achieve higher automation rates. But that's not always the most ideal scenario. Um, there are certain contact types that just lend themselves to human contact, and you'll get a better result from human contact. I think within gaming within gaming specifically, you've always got this challenge between, supporting your freemium players versus your premium players. And do you need to look at them as different populations where you want to give your premium players um, more of a white glove service, quicker response times, access to more tenured resources within the contact center to help them resolve their issues and get back to playing quickly. And then freemium, it's a matter of balancing the cost to make the model work as best it can.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so I was going to ask if you think that someone should dive head first or dip their toe in the water. It sounds like you think dip the toe in the water, see what the experience is like, figure out the right places to implement this from a cost value perspective, and then from there branch out. So that would be kind of your land and expand advice if for a new gaming company going into AI.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's easy to bite off a little bit more than you can chew when it comes to these initiatives. And I think you've got a lot of different contact types, you've got a lot of different contact drivers, you've got a lot of different scenarios to plan for. Um, Looking at this thing as this massive waterfall or big bang kind of project, it's easy to get overwhelmed in the amount of work necessary to launch it up. And the bigger the initial scope, the more work that just needs to be done to launch. And I think, look, game contact center is a fast moving business, and gaming is an even faster moving business. The challenge with the Big Bang approaches is things are changing all the time. If you can't get a use case, an intent, a contact type up and running quickly, you might find yourself just going back and having to rework all these scenarios before you even get the first product market, the first contact types launched. So
Yeah.
definitely it's an iterative process. And I think it's worthwhile to get into the iterative mindset with these tools because these projects never end. Once your AI project is up and running, you've only just started, right? Every time you've got a change, every time you've got a new intent type, every time you've got a policy or procedure change, or are adding new capabilities, new features to the underlying games, you're going to have to keep updating these platforms. And I think the quicker you can get into this mindset where you're treating it as a living and breathing thing, the better off you'll be.
Great. So, and you had mentioned obviously fast-paced BPOs. So, where do you think that BPO players fit into that kind of partnership with a company who wants to set up AI? How do you think that we can help?
Yeah, I think it's a core part of it. It helps to start thinking of AI as less of a technology initiative and more of an operational initiative. Um, the closer you can connect the front line to the AI projects, the better you'll be in delivering results and getting the right speed and agility you need to be responsive to changes. And I think there's no better partner around AI than the front line because they're interacting with customers every single day. They're seeing the call drivers, the contact types. They understand the best way to resolve specific scenarios, and all of that insight is incredibly valuable into getting the most value from these tools. Right.
Mm.
So think of it as an extension of your operations and not a standalone technology initiative.
Right. Well, and that kind of leads into, some of the I think, my opinion, myths and misconceptions about using AI is that it's going to just save a bunch of money and that it's going to reduce your workforce completely. But when we talk about the value of AI, is that really where it is? Like, is that how you think that's going to go?
Yeah, I don't think so. It'll be different for every industry, and it'll be different for every company, and it'll be different based on your ratio of really complex contact drivers to more simple contact drivers, straightforward contact drivers. When you look at AI, keep in mind that there's two ways to use it, right? The automation use case, and we're all very much focused on the automation use case because it's so easy to connect the dots to ROI and cost
Mhm.
savings. But when you look at the agent augmentation use case, I think it's a more interesting, story, potentially more value being able to be sort of extracted from these solutions. And that's where we're using AI to assist, improve, augment agent performance. This is everything from real-time agent assist or real-time knowledge guidance to new tools like translation or other AI capabilities to help the associates, to help our teams do more, support more, reach more players, connect with more players, execute more efficiently. When you think about the universe of what you can automate, it's about so big. When you look at like just how much can we save or how much value we can create if we give every contact type that same level of productivity improvement, enhancement, quality improvement, that augmentation use case is equally, if not more compelling.
Mm, yeah, amazing. Well, look, really interesting conversation. Thank you so much for your time today. Um, In addition, we have launched several initiatives to help our clients accelerate their efforts while avoiding costly mistakes. For example, we've created the t.tec readiness assessment for AI to provide a framework for evaluating the technology, process, and talent required to capture the value from the use of AI for CX. So, if anyone's interested in our assessment or learning more, please visit us at ttec.com/gaming.